What's going on YouTube? It's your buddy Will from the WhatsUpInTheSky37 channel, or catch me out online at www.whatsupinthesky.com. And this is one of my long-awaited videos. Since I saw this picture first came out, I've wanted to do a video on it. I've done little videos on the horse, the little pigs, little things like that, but the overall picture seems to be one of the best ones they've put out. Of course, it's the RockNest. This is going to be a very long video. What I've done here is where I've colored is where people have sent me anomalies. I've got about 50 emails just from the RockNest alone, from you guys sending me emails. And I went through and I added the color here. And now what I've done was I started by doing the color different colors, but it ended up just everything to me looks like RockNest was either a city or industrial area. Back there in the back looked like it looks like a mini city to me. And it looks like we're covering a lot of ground. So the opportunity for it to be a lot here is extraordinary, just with the amount of pictures that went into making it and things like that. So my theories are, let me start with that, and this video is probably going to be stopped a lot, so I'm not sure how fluid it's going to be, but this is the first shot at trying to make a really long video, and if you don't like the long videos, it's not the one for you. If you're new to my channel, you might want to go check out the old videos before you start here. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to try and first let me explain to you what I think happened on Mars so you can get on the same page as I am through my eyes. I think probably what happened was there was a functioning society. I'm not sure how high tech they were. From everything I've seen, it looks very high tech. From some of the ruins here that look like machinery, where you're going to see intricate patterns of like what looks like metal that's just been slashed together. It almost looks like 9/11 rubble. Here in America, I'm from America. 9/11, of course, the trade centers. If you went down there and you looked at some of the pictures from the rubble, a lot of this looks like the rubble. It looks like rubble from something that happened. So I believe that Mars either had an asteroid impact and a flood, or some sort of nuclear explosion, some sort of event that happened on Mars that basically they lost most of their oxygen, most of their atmosphere. And that being said, now that's just from the data I get. Now, I'm not somebody who thinks that life everywhere else has to evolve like it did on Earth. I believe that every planet might have their own mechanism for life. Everywhere we look on Earth, there's life. So, it may be easy for us to say we need oxygen there for us to survive, but who knows if there's not another, on Mars, if that would have basically evolved to maybe breathe carbon dioxide, or maybe oxygen's a poison to whatever life forms are there. So that being said, I like to keep my mind open. This is all interpretive. Let's say I'm not going to do this at the beginning of each video from part 1 to 4. I'm just going to slide on through. Spare me the nasty comments if you're one of those people. This is my imagination channel, so I see what I see, you see what you see, and then comment, we'll talk and meet in the middle. So anyway, with that being said, let's do this. Let's get into number 1. And number 1, I'm just going to basically crop this out. We're going to start up here. This is the more boring. We're going to start out where it's boring and just kind of work our way down. There's some interesting stuff down here. And then really the next couple of videos are going to get really good, especially when we get into this this stuff over here and what looks to be just machinery, something that was just thrashed in the way. So let me go ahead and let's get us moving. I'm using my trusty Apple computer here. It's a 27-inch iMac. I've got the little pad here, so if I do that, I'm going to try and make you guys not sick. And just what we're going to look at here is how I've marked this out with the colors. A lot of the areas, as you can see over here, are just shaded just to look at and bring it in. And what we're going to do is we're going to look into them and basically look at each anomaly. This is going to take a little while for each one. And let's start with some of these up here. And what seems to be throughout this whole picture is layering, either strata, or what seems to be just blocks that's been thrown everywhere, buildings, statues, all sorts of stuff. And if something happened on Earth, there'd be a lot of statues, a lot of things depicting what we do. We're very artsy people, at least, so I'm going on the assumption that maybe they were too. Maybe this is all just functioning stuff. So there's a lot of interesting stuff up here. Let me drop some of these pictures here, and let's take a look at some of these actual artifacts. So just off the top, these are pretty far in the distance. So you're looking at what seems to be some very like say rubbly. See how it's Very symmetric though. These rocks here, they're casting shadows. They said I'm just going to briefly go over some of these ones at the top, since a lot of them, and just see how there's a lot of straight, look to be, you know, block type things, just rubble that seems to be broken up, but looks like at one time you're going to notice a lot of blocks, a lot of perfect blocks and stuff like that. That at one time could have been perfect. See up here, basically this whole area to me looks. Let me drop that. Now I also added a little brightness to it down here. You're going to see me fooling around with this stuff over here a lot. Let me move that down. But that's for the brightness for some of the other pictures. And we're also going to do a lot of framing out. This stuff's so far away, it's hard to really to get a good idea of what's going on there through the blur. But this whole area here seems to be pretty far. So these structures are going to be pretty big. Whatever this is out there, you know, just kind of laying out there. It doesn't look like rocks to me. So that's just some other stuff to take a look at. Let me see, let me add the colors, and then we're basically going to go about halfway down this picture and get started on it. Also, what looks to be, all I can say is shells. Like, I can't explain it. There's going to be a lot of those throughout here. I'm going to show you guys. And then a lot of this stuff, like, you know, just symmetry, that when you start adding the color to it like this, it starts coming out a little bit more. Let me see if we can't drop that now and see if we can see that. Now, see that there? Let's take a look at this area right here. Let me get my trusty mouse, move it around. All right, now image, to get the copy. Actually, I'm going to go back to the background here. Image adjustments. We're not going to do this for everyone. I just want to kind of see if this actually helps it all there. A lot of times it's not. It helps a little bit bring it out. But look at here, look at this symmetry in here, what looks to be cross members or pattern. See down here, it looks to be perfect. It's on a little curve from angle, so it looks like a perfect 90-degree angle. And see how these angles here match up here with this. Just a very interesting spot. Looks to be carved. Looks like it's out of place. So whatever it is looks to be a little bit different. This beam seems to run all the way over to here. And what I would imagine a place that's just all thrashed up and you know, and a catastrophe's happen would look just like this. There's it with a little color or with a little bit more brightness. Let me add that color back to it just to show you again. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, what I'm going for. So with the color, just to kind of add a little dimension, because you can see a little bit better there when you do it. And all I've done was basically drop the transparency on it a little bit. And what I think we have here, and we'll start up here because we didn't get to the top, is what looks like blocks, and they're all buried in the sand. So there's been windstorms. So after there was this cataclysm, there's probably years and years of just maybe some bad storms. Who knows? The wind now, these dust devils that come up and whip the stuff around, this stuff could be buried, you know, pretty much up to this. What I would imagine rubble being buried up to the top would look like. So let's see here. Let me drop some of this color. Just the grid. There we are. So see it now, see how the rocks there look to be perfect. So look at this block here. So now this would be part of the building. See how it's a different color altogether? It looks kind of like the color of rocks that they use down in Peru at a lot of the areas. It looks at the end to be snapped off. It's not a perfect cut, but it does seem right here looks to be perfect. There's a little hill kind of blocking the view, but that whole kind of up here, you see that in it. See how long these are, and just imagine these are not small blocks. This is way off in the distance, so you're talking this was, you know, beams. This kind of looks like where the World Trade Center stuff was kind of smashed and gnawed together. And we come down here and just look at the perfect perfect shapes of what seems to be blocks at one time and seem to be symmetrical. Let me add the one to it, see if that's, see that down over here, this seems to be a shell. You're going to say, I say that because it looks like this was open. See how there's a center part to it? Let me move that back. And like I said, we're just trying to get comfortable in this video. I wasn't sure how I was going to make this video. There's so much here to it, and there's so, you know, like I said, these to me are perfect symmetrical. They look like the blocks that I've been in Pumapunku, but they look just like at Pumapunku because they've been thrown around. So let me add that back here. And like I said, that whole area there seems, and you can say, if you take a look up there, you can also notice it as well. as we move along this ridge here, you see how it just keeps extending? Like these were the blocks up here that it just keeps on going. And this is a pretty, the shadow off that is pretty deep. So that's an overhang. Um, Let me get rid of that red. Now down here, this stuff is very interesting. Here, look, this just looks like some of the rubble that's been on top. You know, God knows what it's from and what it was actually at one time. But see how symmetrical it is. Um, there's it with the a little bit darker. Let me add that color again. And even here, we could have done this up here and basically, oops, artifacts. See how that's kind of perfect, you know, so this actually does extend up a little bit more. But things like that, just sitting on top, you know, this, like I said, this is far off, so this stuff is pretty big. If you know, if we were to go here and zoom back out a little bit and really look at, you know, how big it is, and that, hey, like I said, this just keeps going and going. Some of this down here looks to be the same type of, here we go, let me take off the artifacts, the same type of worked stone, stuff that looks like it was thrown around. This looks to be a very smooth area with has circles and different sizes and what looks to be T's and crosses. Just a very, for a random pile of stuff, it looks like there'd be something directly under it. Let's see what else we've got here. I'm going to leave the color on for some of these, just because what I basically did was took some of the top rubble and just put some color into it to give you a little bit of a view through it. You know, see, here's what we see sitting out there, and it doesn't just look like random rocks. I mean, this stuff looks like it has patterns to it, like it used to be something at some time. Let's take a look here at some of these without the color. Just see the perfect squares, and then what has to be rounded off type color rocks, boxed in. Look at this, it's going to be a circle and it's got things coming out of it. Just a very interesting area that look to be ruins of some sort here. This looks to be definitely something that was here at first. See how the strata goes across? It looks like this was built. Here it looks like it's actually 2 layers and it comes out. And what looks to be things like carvings and some things like that, and perfect straight angles from it. I mean, we're gonna get a lot of that in this whole picture. And what seems to be, I think I marked all this over here. See how the rock seems to be perfect. Let me brighten that up a little bit so you can see it. Look at this over here. This looks to be mechanical. It just looks like something that used to be mechanics. See the circles in it here and what looked to be connecting, like maybe something that was on top. And imagine if there was, like I said, just look at the World Trade Center, how beautiful it was. Then it was just rubble and thrashed up, and what this looks like, something that was heated up really hot, you know. So there was a catastrophe. From what I see heat, big heat had come here and took something out. Same thing, straight across. I mean, we're just getting perfect. I mean, this isn't strata like, so this is how it was. This had to have been some sort of building at some point. When you get stuff pointing out, it's coming out at perfect angles. It's 90 degrees. It looks like it's got bevels on it. I hope you're watching this in HD. Double check, make sure you're watching this in HD. And I knew I had already gotten this stuff too, 'cause just walking across it, it looks to be something that was there. And see, I just add that. It looks to be something that was there and had catastrophe written all over it. This whole area does. Let me see where my grid numbers, we're going off into the other path now. We've strode off a little bit. Okay, so let's go back to where we were here and start heading back this way on this picture. And we're going to be looking at a lot of the same type things. See, we're going to be able to get closer to it now, because as you get closer, the stuff starts coming in a little less blurry. This is something I probably should have done too, so we'll do it together here. This whole area, what seem to be just simple rocks, to me look more like construction, like a concrete type material that's been thrashed. And once again, we just keep seeing what seem to be perfect blocks in this rubble that have just been thrown around, and they're fairly big in size. See this here? Um, let's see, here probably could have been done. I should have extended this a little bit more to include that. Um, but to me, this looks like this is laying on top of what could be rubble. Like I said, this stuff has probably been thrown everywhere. I imagine there was such an explosion, such something, and we looked at this stuff over here. See how it's just laying on top? You know, it's everywhere, and probably sand from the years of just coming up. And these look to be perfect blocks here. This looks like something we would have buried from Egypt. See the blockiness in it, and how it comes down and joins that, almost like some sort of water feature, something that carried pipes along. This seems to be, you know, a perfect block as well. And it, you know, just this here seems to just be thrashed. This over here seems to have a perfect little. See that there? It has a little box in it. So let me pull these up a little bit bigger so show you about what the resolution looks like. Um, Now there's also some tricks we're going to get in the other videos where we can use the burn tools. A lot of people have been sending me tips and tricks from Photoshop, so it's very interesting what's been going on with this RockNest. But everybody has sent me, anybody who sent me pictures, you all know who you are, you guys rock. Everybody has sent me pictures of this, of RockNest, and said it was something there going on. I mean, when we dropped the, oops, sorry about that. When we dropped the color, take a look at that. How much it brings it out. You know, the color does. Let me pull it back down to its original. This is how it came from NASA when you get it on their website. You know, I didn't pull it up on the website, but the link is going to be below. Now look at this here. This just looks like a machine that's sitting out here. And once again, you see the perfect rocks. And this seems to be a piece of sheet metal that's been attached to something and lifted down there. See that? Perfectly. Now let's do this with this little area right here because I want to get a good look at some of these. This looks to be something like some sort of tank maybe. Now there are some perfect tanks that look like they haven't even been destroyed. And with any type of explosion or any type of catastrophe, some stuff's going to look better than other stuff, I'd imagine. So let's see here. Let me go to image. Oh, I'm not on the right one. I need to go to the background, image, adjustments, no wonder, exposure. Now, see some of this here. This is cool to me. Right there, that looks to be buried just down into the ground and possibly, you know, who knows how far it goes. But this has another piece of it coming up, and to me it looks like metal. You can see the shadow there. There's two pieces for sure. See how it's got this? You can see that in the shadow, which seems to be next to a nice perfect little block, and this looks to extend this whole area. So this is just part of, you know, whatever structure. And here you seem to have a lot more of those what seem to be just pieces in there, and what seems to be machinery. See how intricate these are? I know that once I hit this, I haven't looked at it yet, but this is going to be all marked. Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't mark this as well, and stuff like this down here. Now I want to really look at this thing right here and see what we can come up with. Image adjustments. Let's just do the brightness and the contrast. See if we can't pull that out. See what I mean by machine? It seems to be some sort of type of engine, something. I mean, I imagine if any intellect there is going to be different than ours, so their machine's going to be different. How they build stuff's going to be different. It looks like something that's been layered, put together very intricately, and it just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But this little area here is just a very interesting area. Once again, as we come through, these just doesn't, they call it the rock nest, but really a nest, I've never seen rocks in a nest. I've seen a nest which seems to have stuff from all different stuff, like, you know, you can almost say, you know, birds make their nest, they get their twigs, they get this, they get, you know, grass, and they bring it together. You know, this looks like a mess of different stuff brought from all over the planet and just thrown together. Like Terry here, my buddy, shout out to him. He's a musician from Paris. He said he called it Uncle Jake's Junkyard on Mars. It looks like Uncle Jake's Junkyard. If you need it, it's here. This would be the place to go to scavenge stuff. But look at the intricacy in this here. I mean, I hope you can see it as good as I can on my monitor. Here looks to be, if this was a rock, it'd have to be a hollowed out rock. Up here looks to be something perfectly going into here. See how it's even got a shadow that's as perfect as it is. That bridges this to here, which looks like a perfect circle, and goes there. Once again, this thing here, either that's some sort of bone or some sort of fossil, or that is some, I don't see rocks here on Earth that looks like that, which I can't really say anything from Earth would look like it would, but here again we see what looks to be a hole in this, what's called rocks, and perfect geometry with it. This is the type of picture that I was waiting for. To me, this definitely just tells me and proves to me that there was some sort of life there. Now, this doesn't show to me much of living life. This looks to be rubble, and you see how I've accentuated just some of these areas to show some of the symmetry. I probably should have done this little thing right here as well. Let's do it together. Like I said, I'm not worried about time on this one. If you're investing your time in this one, you probably enjoy my channel. I love you for it. I never thought people would watch my channel as much as they have, and be as interested as I was in this stuff. I mean, this stuff to me is just too cool. But see how everything just seems to be kind of smushed together, but you still can see the symmetry in some of the blocks and how it's run. What looked to be part of machines and part of just rubble. See, we didn't get over here to look at some of this. Here's where we left this off. Remember that block right there? Then we take a look at that too already. And let me drop that. Okay, so let's look here. Let's look at this block. Just take a look at what seems to be another complex, and this complex here seems to have some of the rocks have fallen down and they're here. And let me see if I did that one too. I thought I did. Let me pull out a little bit so you can see how it's, if any, it's all on the ground across. Now this is a crazy area here. You've got what seems to be this here is pretty crazy. This looks like a huge skull that's been bashed in, and this gets into just some of the interesting. Hopefully you can see that. But look at these chunks of whatever here. All right, cool. Let's take a look at this. This is cool. This looks to me, it's something that just pops out. Like I said, this could just be my eyes doing that, your eyes doing it. I hope you see that. I hope it's just not me who sees this. But oh, let me go down there and get this. Let's see how the brighten up doesn't look as good. Alright, so we're going to do auto color. See it now? See how the mouth, the eyes, the nose, the head, and it seems to have where the ear would be, it seems to be smashed in. It's a very interesting piece. Let me back that out. Thought you would enjoy that. More just rubble. This area is just a bunch of rubble. Over here, this rock seemed very interesting with some of the stuff on it. Oh, the color. This also seemed to have a face on the edge of it, but that I think is just the eyes and the matrix thing doing it. Edit, step backwards. I know I can do that with my keyboard. My keyboard's offline now. I got so many people use Photoshop different ways. It's funny. We get so used to it. When you're watching somebody else do it, it's like, oh, why? Okay, right back to here. We're back to these blocks that look to seem to have, either something like a chipped tar, or like a chipped concrete, but perfect, had been worked at one time, or blocks that were worked. I'm not saying that they couldn't be just blocks that weren't worked by stonemasons. Doesn't have to be concrete, but to me it looks like concrete because it looks like there's so much flowing through it. Just look at some of the coloring of this stuff. I mean, look at how it's got circles in it here, and let me see if I can't just do the auto color to this whole little area right here. See how it brightens up real nice. But if this doesn't look like rocks to me. If anything, this looks like, if this were just natural, this looks like twigs or something. I could take a pic. I've been doing this a lot. I've been taking pictures of the landscape. I was at the park the other day, just taking pictures of the landscape and trying to see if I can make it look like Mars with just a couple clicks. And I've been able to do it many times. And a lot of this stuff like here, where you get all this down here, the only thing I can make that make look like that is stuff like organic life. You know, trees. We're starting to get fall here. Stuff's falling off. Um, so I don't know what's going on with that. Like if this was just fossilized stuff, or this is just basically wires that have been nested together. It really does look like a nest, but I don't. Rocks don't nest to me. Rocks don't grow in long pieces. Like this isn't. This doesn't seem like anything I've seen. I've been down in the caverns. You know, I've been everywhere in the United States just to look at some of the. You know, I've looked at a lot of rocks. I've seen a lot of formations. You know, I really do a lot of traveling for work, and a lot of this stuff is just very interesting. It looked to be worked, and as we move towards the bottom, we're going to see more and more what seems to be hands of, you know, just here alone. Let's see, this looks to be hands of somebody have done this. Let me hit the, see how all this here, let's take a look at this here. Just this area. Adjustments. Either this was done by water or was done by something. Hand. See the shapes that have been put into it? Um, and it looks like these were all together at one time. And so whatever happened brought a lot of this off. Here's an image that's got a perfect here. See that? And then at the bottom of the rubble where it's fallen off, it looks to have, you know, the symmetry stays in there as it falls off the face. It's in what the rubble. You know, you can see the carvings in the rubble. It's a very interesting area of Mars. Um, let's see where else we've back to this edge of it. All right, here we go. As we get closer down, and the cold concrete thing to me is what seems to flow. Or these, like I said, this doesn't have to be concrete. This could have been done, you know, by hand. Um, See how here there's like a curve in this rock, but the strata of the rock here, see, it's got two things. It all seems to be worked out. The block seems to have, the block here is perfect. Look at this. It goes down and up. It goes smooth as can be across it. Stuff that the sand just falls right off of it. It's that smooth. See that? And it goes right down. Now this here has what seems to be connecting something to it. Like this would have been something else here, a whole nother block that's just something's happened. Look, it's just been destroyed. That looks to be done by hands. Um, See how this is just broken off of something and been thrown around. The same with this whole area right here. I'm going to put the artifacts back on. See, I've basically accentuated what's out there on the surface. Um, See how there's shapes to the rubble. Like you keep getting the block shape. That's one of the most common. And here, like I said, here's the stuff. Like I said, again, looks like natural leaves or something. That's the only thing I can get here on Earth with these pictures to make them look like. Um, we had just done this. See how this buried looks like it has carvings in it, just partly. Either that was part of machinery or some sort of carving. Look at this here. This is perfect. Doesn't get much more perfect than that. All right, these were blocks. See how you can even see. Well, let's do this because this really is pretty awesome here. Let me do it from this one. Auto color, auto contrast. See, that helped much. Okay, you can see the shape and how it was carved, and see the perfect angle there. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And it's even brought up like the Pumapunku blocks. And as you see here, next to it was another block that's been, the bevel's been broken off. See the bevel there? It would have came all the way across. And down here you can see other rocks that are in perfect geometrical form. You know, something that was there. It looks like part of this rubble probably, but that's pretty nice. That's about as perfect as a block you're gonna ask for. That's buried, just buried in the mud, the muck. I envision something like a flood making a lot of this easy to happen. And once again, you've got the perfect shapes of the blocks with what looked to be just very interesting artifacts. Very rounded, very pointy, you know, something out of the ordinary. Um, very, very cool This is one of the coolest pictures that they've put out so far. And like I said, it just looks to be stuff that's sitting out on top of it. I mean, see how different it is from the back when you add the color from the background. Here you've got little things that look like to me it looks like a little catcher's mitt or something, but you just see in the shapes of the rubble more what look to be carvings, more worked out rocks. This one that is coming up in the air and is pushed down in. Here's more here, more blocks. Look at that. Look how perfect these looks like old steps here. See, in the building are part, of a terrace system or something. And you can even see here how this has a perfect curve to it. Just very interesting. All the beveled stuff here. See the two lines, the two bevels, how this is perfectly beveled, and just twisted around and tore all up. What we got here? This is another block that's got a carving in this, right down the center. It looks like it belongs down in this mess. Now, this is where I think we start looking at some machinery, and this is gonna, when I say this, very light, very light, just slightly off the cuff. I mean, this looks like stuff that was destroyed. I'm gonna leave that on. Well, let me go back to the darker one for now. You're gonna notice a lot of the symmetry in it. Once again, this looks like stuff that's been, knocked off. Look at this, some of this here. Perfect shapes. Now, when you can even hear, this is what I think is where the machinery starts. Something that was here was on the surface, look, perfect shapes, just buried up to mud. Something was on the surface. You're going to see so many perfect shapes and what seem to be connections to each other and possible like circuit boards. I imagine huge circuit boards when I see this stuff. And if we took away the color of the mud and the muck and the layer of sand that's here, we'd see more of this color, more of the circles, more of the look to be wires connecting things, more of the perfect geometry here that's in this. When you add the color, you can see a little bit more of the dimensions of it. Um, this is perfectly rounded off with cuts and what look to be places for hoses to go in. That's just been destroyed and wrecked and tossed around. Up here you're going to see it too. Look at the perfect, what seems to be a compartment of something. And here you can see what used to be some sort of metal wire or something along these lines. They've got perfect symmetry. I'm pointing at my screen like you guys can see me. If you see me up in the little bubble, hi, I'm pointing at the screen. But this is where it starts getting interesting to me because it looks like a craft or it looks like something that was on the surface or part of something that was exploded. You see perfect cracks in the rocks, perfect symmetry in it. What looks to be, let me push this up a little bit. What seems to be up here, you can see part of it, the sheet metal pieces that look like the perfect circles aroundedness of it. And then in here you get the perfect geometry of whatever this was at one time. To me this look at the perfect curvature in this seems to have there. Now this was either done and it was so intricately carved and this has just been what's back of the carving, or this was a piece of machinery or something to me. It gets much better in 2 and 3, the videos, this type of stuff where you're going to see the intricacies of what connects to what and how you could actually sit there and go through each one and say, look, this is part of this, this is a system of some sort. Look at this right here, another, it looks like piece of sheet metal that's just casting the perfect shadow that's sitting there connected to something. Something's holding that up. It's lighter than what's around it, most likely, it looks like. Another here, you can see this right here goes perfect up and is putting another shadow like that. More and more of what seems to be rubble, and this stuff seems to have been, this is a place I'm going to try my dodge tool real quick. I've been working with some guys online, and this helps kind of bring out some of the blurry areas you find, and what it does is it reaches in, I guess, and it pulls out some of the blur and dodges some of this, and it's worked pretty decent on some of it that I've played around with it. But as you can see, it pulls out what's left in the artifact there, and it has a lot more. look to it. And that does look more and more like something, like a piece of machinery or something that's together and it's been destroyed. Now that I've done that to it, let me see if I can pull out the auto color and see what happens. Photoshop image, sorry about that. Ooh, see that's how it sees it. It drops that. See how I think the Rover adds this color? And see when the color's gone, it notices that Photoshop does as something that shouldn't be there. And when you hit auto color. Now let's look at some of these, how this stuff connects, how there's a perfect symmetry in some of this stuff. And there's a, see this, how this connects to this part. It looks like a hose or something along those lines. Just looks destroyed. Um, Down here you've got a piece of what looks to be a piece of metal there. Let's see if I can do the same thing with that auto color. That's connected with two holes. It looks like a little, just something you'd connect two pieces of wood with and then put a screw here and a screw there. Um, Once again, perfect cuts towards the bottom. See how it's smoothed off on that side? Perfect rubble here. Perfect, not perfect, but looks like wavy sheet metal that's got some sort of, just a dust on it. Once again, there's that one up there that's just pretty too cool. And then right here too also has a very odd look to it. I wonder if we did the burn tool up here, what we come up with. You see, it does pull out a little bit more of the symmetry in the rocks below. Um, Look how this hangs off there. Now either that's carved or that was something that bends like that. I don't get how that works. That's too cool. And like I said, this up here looks to be some sort of sheet metal with stuff on it. And this extends through here. The machinery does. It would just keep on going and going and going. Um, all right, let's look here. So this looks like it's coming out. This looks like some sort of, let me see if I can just brighten this up. See how it looks to be protruding from it, like this would keep on going through there. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see what the auto color does. Yeah, I'll be darned, it does. See that? That's pretty interesting. It looks like just something that goes through it. And then we already took a look at these up here. Let me add the colors again. Back out a little bit. We looked at some of this. Let's come up here and look at some of this a little bit better. Alright, we did take a look at some of this, but just for giggles, let me do this one right here. Image. Oop, I keep getting off that layer. Image. And I told you this one was going to go long. This is going to be a 4-part. And as this progresses, the other ones have even more artifacts in it. This looks to have symmetry along both sides of it. What was that? Where was that at? What did this do at one time? It's just too cool to me. Okay, let's take a look at this. What looks to be just normal rock, but normal rocks just don't have pieces of something hanging off the top of it. See right here? See how that's coming off the top? And these look to be simple rocks, but you have, once again, these carvings in them, or what it seems to be carvings. Let me see if I can use that burn tool a little bit to see if anything happens. It doesn't seem to be doing much there. Oop. I'm not sure where that's hitting it. Bring it out just a little bit. See that? I mean, what is that hanging off? Is that some sort of metal object? It sure does look like it. Alright, there we are. Alright, as we go down through here, there's more. See how blurry it gets here? This is, to me, is not acceptable for the picture. Why would they do this? Why does NASA blur out? This is as close as it gets. Where you have, see how it gets crazy down here? We still got all this to look at. Let's start with some of this over here. Where do we get to? We saw that. Was anything over here worth seeing? Yeah, some of the stuff that keeps going on. Like this is here on top. Let's look at this. This looks to have the same type of, just brighten that up. See how it's got the same type of symmetry to it, carving in it. Up here looks to have the carving, what looks to be sheet metal with perfect circles in it. And as it goes across, it just looks destroyed. Stuff hanging down from it, strewn about just everywhere. Uncle Jake's junkyard, as Buddy Terry says. Perfect circles. It just looks to be some sort of machinery that's laying out there. And see how the blur comes in. And this was something I already did with the tool here. Um, See how it's all blurred out. NASA just puts that in like it's acceptable, you know. And I don't understand why the rover doesn't get clear shots of this stuff for some of it. But as we're coming down, let's take a look at some of this. This is all perfect artifacts. See the colors in this? See how just this is just laying there, and it looks like it was something that's just been kind of metal twisted and moved, and we're really going to get into some of the metal stuff throughout here. So I'm going to take a quick break, and here's a perfect tank right there. Let's look at that. And we're going to come across, I'm going to go grab a drink, take a quick break, make sure this is saved, and we're going to come take a look at part 2 of part 1 here. See all this down here? Look at all these. So I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. That didn't take long, see? Alright, now let me just backtrack where we've looked at so far. We still have this part from here down to take a look at. Now there's not much in the blurred part here. This is all blurred out, so we're really going to focus on down here and just this little area right here as well. See, we looked at these carvings extensively. Now look down here at this one. This looks the same machine, or this used to be some sort of carvings where they needed holes. See the perfect symmetry in here. I've never seen nature just make this randomly. Well, it looks to be something on top here carved out. Let me see if you can see that there. How I'm going to mark that. And when I add the color, look at the dimension of it. Look how it does pull so much more, and how it looks like something that was just cut or slabbed off that came with, you know, the tragedy or whatever happened up here. Once again, you've got this. Look at this perfect horseshoe type thing here, and then when I drop the color, you'll still see it. See that? Next to it, a little artifact, just a perfect piece of something that's there. A long area here. Watch this when I drop this. And this looks to be has the perfect up. This one's pointing straight up, and then there's rocks around it, almost like a little grave or something like that. See that? Has like almost like a grave marker. Again, you've got just something that looks cut, but perfect cut shape on the bottom. Perfect cut around the bottom. Little box shapes, stuff that looks like it was just tossed and thrown around as the tragedy happened. We looked up there at that already. Here, see how it's just laying on the ground, the artifacts. Watch, I'll drop the color again, and it really does pull it out. Let me get out some of that darkness away too, and drop the color. See, just very interesting how it's there. How it all blends in together. It's got the rounded part to it. It just looks like all this was just fused together. That's probably the best word to use. And it looks like carvings on top of stuff, and on top and on top. Let's see this here. I think I still have my grid. Yeah. So, and as this comes down, more of the shapes of whatever. We took a look at this stuff already, I do believe. I could sit there and look at the, yeah, we already looked at this. We could look at that forever. So let's go down past the blurry part, like I said, and we could sit here with this burn tool, and it seems to help a little bit. I was able to pull out some, I'm not sure why it's not working now, but we're not going to worry about it. I think I locked that layer, no wonder. I don't know what's going on with that. Either way, I don't need it this time. It probably just needs to be reset. This takes up so much memory, this file now. But you can see how blurry they make this part. And I brought it out here with the blur tool, and you can see how it's just it rises above this little thing. And they made that area blurry. It's almost like a lot of this has a lot more dimension to it than you can see. See how it's got like the lines in it, and the stuff comes up above it. But this is where we're going to really take a look at some of this stuff right down in here, and what seems to be the best case for machinery to me in this part and some of the other. So let's take a look through this and see what we can find. Starting with over here, we're going to leave this alone. We've already gone through some of that up here. Let's take a look at this rubble and how fine it is, because this we can actually get pretty big in on our system here. And let's see, I got the artifacts lit up here. Okay, and then I'll unlight them up. Look at this. Okay, so let's go start off. You can see these. I mean, you can look at this stuff yourself and make your own judgment. But to me, what seems to be a lot of the symmetry in these, where you've got stuff that looks carved, perfect circles, and the circle doesn't only has a bevel around it that follows the same exact circle line. To me, that says machines. It says something that looks like it was working on something at one time. Um, as we look at the rubble here and really take a look at it, you see the lines in it, see the what seems to be perfect machines that come through it. This here, look at the machinery. This to me is cool. Check this out here. I'm pretty sure I've already gotten that with the blue. I didn't. But see how it looks like a little face there? I mean, and to me, faces come out of everything because that's what our looks for. I still think this is some sort of machinery. Look at the difference in the color. They've left in that Martian color, and it's still this bright. You know, see how when you add the exposure to it, it just pulls right out? So it's pretty interesting. Um, and once again, what seem to be perfect areas of what would be a machine, where if you follow these little lines, they all seem to touch. Everything seems to be together with it. Drop the color there, add the artifact. Just lays there on top of it. And see, look at the difference between this color rock and over here where I think is machinery, and where it's got the symmetry and the lines and we would, you know, perfect straight lines that have perfect 90-degree angle lines coming off of it. Um, and then you get up into that blur up there again when you start creeping up there. And what looks to be here, this looks to have carvings in it or something along those lines. It looks to be part, but it surely doesn't look the same color as this. I mean, this looks to be way, way different in the color scheme. Let me see if I can do what I was doing to the other ones. Okay, here we go. We're going to go image, adjust, auto color. Brighten it up a little bit there. And to me, that just seems to be like machinery. To me, that's just something that was there. It doesn't look like just a normal rock or lava rock. It's got too many lines in it, too many angles, too many circles, too many perfect connections. What look to be, you know, if you've ever taken apart a head of an engine and looked down in it, see the different compartments cut in the metal. I mean, that's what a lot of this looks like. It seems like it's been sheared off, and it's got what would be perfect cuts in it. See here with the perfect circles and the cuts, and it just looks like nature or whatever exploded here on Mars opened it up for us to see, and the weather to come in, and whatever took place the years after, or just sat here cold. You know, maybe it just froze right up after after whatever happened. But see here, see the symmetry in it, how it rolls, and everything in the middle of it's got it too. I mean, the boxiness of it, and when you really look at it, I mean, it looks like boxes that were connected. This looks like circles. It's pretty amazing what's going on in these pictures. That just right here, this alone, the color of it. Look at that difference. Oh, I accidentally moved it. That's what I did. Let's see if I can move that back, if I could get it. That's what I did. Watch this, hold on. Now we're going to work together on this real fast. Just real fast. Well, we'll work off this one either way. I just moved it a little bit. But see, even here, just down here where it gets down to the rubble here, where it starts meeting just the dirt, you still see stuff coming off of it, and little squiggly lines will look to be maybe wires or something, or coverings, cuts that were there at one time. This looks to be, now there's two or three in this picture that look to be perfect done ballasts. See how it looks like it's perfectly rounded over there. Just beautiful. Looks like that was worked really well. This whole area, this tier 2, this rock as well looks to be worked. And then once again, you get in, you see these circles along, and it goes up in a cylinder there. I mean, it looks like it part of machinery that was just sheared off. Perfect cuts in them. Very interesting stuff. You know, I do a lot of talking during these videos when I think you guys do the looking too, and can pretty much see what I see in a lot of this. And if you don't see what I see, I know you see something. You know, to me, this is definitely a little bit. If you made it this far in the video and you're still watching this, I think we're probably like almost 45 minutes into this thing. If you made it this far, you're definitely seeing what I see in this picture and how important it is to the pictures that have been put out. Here we've got some very interesting, the way the shadows too always hits the cool rocks, and these were all processed by NASA, these photos. Let's take a look at these right here. um, Artifacts. I didn't even get these with it. Just looked to be carved out and laid out there. You know, something that was perfect looking triangles, just looks like it's been melted into place. um, this whole area looks melted into place if you ask me. Once again, there's that ballast looking tank up there. And then we've got this rock here, where down here you can see the symmetry in this, and what looks to be just a piece of metal that's been exposed open to everything, where you see these shapes and you see these two exact same shapes here. What looks to be a perfect donut type carved in there. I mean, you could tell hopefully that's been carved in there. It looks like it's been worked out, and you could tell that's been done by hands of some type of actual being. Now, this might not be machinery. This might be something that was very pretty at one time. See, here looks to have a carved face in it, or some sort of lion or cat there. So, I mean, you have some areas that look to be like very ornate, very precise. And I don't understand why it gets blurry as it comes down here. I mean, how how come we have to deal with the blurriness of it? And see, okay, this looks like we've already looked at this a couple times. See how it just looks like it's been opened up, and this right here, the perfectness of uh, the S to it, or the S0, the 5, whatever that looks like on top of it. It looks like it could just go flipped over and stuck on another piece somewhere. They'd mesh together and become the piece of equipment it once was. And it looks like slags of this have just been melted off of it and been thrown around, possibly into the water, and that's how we got some of these other things. Let's see. The RockNest. Like I said, this is just part one. I think we're probably getting very up there in time now. Let me see. Okay, now that just like I said, perfect circles here. More perfect circles would that add, you know, dimension to it. Triangles that are not triangles, rectangle that comes up there. Lots of 90-degree angles. And you know me, if you watch my videos, I love 90-degree angles. Something about them to me just says, you know, humans, not human, you know, humanity, life, you know, something was here. Very cool in these here. Um, Hit comment. I'm going to put these 4 videos up one at a time, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if YouTube lets me, I'm going to upload one big long video with these. Um, and like I said, once again, it just looks like these have been chopped off. And then where it blurs up, it does seem to be the same things going on there too. You know, the same type of symmetry in the blur that we're getting in these other places. Um, we've already taken a look at that, how it looks like it's just slagged off. Once again, what looks to be just perfectly huge blocks that have just been chopped and cut. You see the symmetry in them. See the symmetry in those 2 blocks. They look the same. Up here, just a lot of that, whatever you want to call it. It looks like, you know, the perfect 90-degree angles. See, they're out here, they're there. They're not just laying there, but it looks like it was slagged off and just destroyed. So this is the RockNest. That is section 1. I think I've got through it. You've seen all the machinery, a lot of the rocks. Now part 2's got some interesting stuff. This looks like to be a big bird sculpture, which we've seen everywhere on the net. It's funny how, well, you know, when I've done that, it's thrown off some of my stuff. There you go. So once again, we're going to be coming over to part 2 next. We'll be showing you the bird, more rocks, more perfect symmetry. Um, more and more and more what look like machines, melted machines down there. Just too cool stuff. I'm going to go ahead and I'll work on this weekend. Hopefully I can get most of these done in the next couple of weeks. Like I said, it takes a little, sometimes I'm a busy guy. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get this much time and come out. But once again, go ahead, I'll back it out so you can see part one. If you're doing this, once I'm done these videos, I'm going to stick this color thing I've made out on the web so everybody can take a look at it. So very interesting stuff. I love it. I love, like I said, this is the stuff that NASA put out that awesome. Just today they said that there was no methane on there, so there couldn't have been extra life, which my theories are any planet can evolve in any way. We don't, just because Earth evolves in a certain way, who knows that stuff on Mars doesn't breathe our, our carbon dioxide. They could breathe that and be allergic to oxygen for all we know. So much love, guys. Take it easy. End of part one. I hope you made it through. Let's see how long we got it. That's 14 minutes on the other 40, so we're probably at almost an hour. If you made it this far, much love. I hope you enjoyed, and part two will be coming up.